Well, I'm George Williams from the Northeast Kansas Library System in Lawrence, Kansas.
And I'm Christopher Brannon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network. And today we're going to be talking about a system preference called RESTdefaultPageSize. And this is something that that came up with a recent upgrade in Koha. We're on 2005 now? Or 2105, excuse me, 2105.
2105 is what you guys are on. We are upgrading on January 15th, so about a week after this video comes out is when we'll be upgrading here.
But either in 2105 or 2011, I don't know which. They did some upgrades that affected drop-down lists, particularly in this case, pickup locations. And this particular preference has some bearing on that now, and so we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure when this system preference was added. When you contacted me and told me about it, it was already old news to me because it affected our libraries when we switched to the PayPal plugin from the built-in Koha PayPal integration to the PayPal plugin. That's when it affected us. And so I was aware of it a couple of years ago, but now it's affecting whole pickup locations.
Yeah, they're starting to make modifications to different drop downs. So it's a good setting to know about. But before we get into that, you can find our videos on the website. If you go to koha-US, koha-US.org, you can go to the Learn page and scroll down to Watch Koha-US original training videos. You'll find our videos on this page, and it's been a few weeks.
Yep, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. All right, so let's talk about what's going on. When we upgraded, and I've got our test server here for our libraries. When we upgraded, we noticed that in the staff interface, I can't remember if this affects the I don't think this affects the patron interface, but at least the staff interface. When we were placing holds, we were noticing that in the drop downs for pickup locations, we're not seeing all of our libraries anymore. At some point during one of the past couple upgrades in Koha, they have changed the drop-down box for pickup locations because of the number of libraries that any particular library system might have. It loads a lot of information.
What it was is the allowed, sometimes people were able to place holds and choose a pickup location that wasn't allowed. And so somebody opened a bug on Bugzilla and they said, hey, how come I can pick a pickup location? How come I can select a pickup location that the item will never be able to be picked up at? And so this, somebody added one of the developers added a plugin to the pickup locations called Select2, and it's a JavaScript select plugin. And so instead of just Koha building a list saying, here's a drop down that has all of the branches in it, when you go to the whole details page like you're on here now with black cat, white cat, it's only the Select2 is only putting in the pickup locations where you can actually pick something up at. So it's building that list dynamically based on the parameters that the item gives it for where it can be picked up at. And that can't be done with the old style select, because the old style select is just a list of every location. In this way, every time the item loads, it's going to load only the pickup locations that are available for those items.
So, you know, that poses a problem because we do need to have all of our libraries available. By the way, we might be able to talk about this, since this is a short video. We might be able to talk about this as well. One of the side effects of that that change to was in the items. If you're doing item specific hold, it changed the default of each item to the home library. And so there is a small jQuery fix for that if you like the way it worked before those changes. And we can possibly talk about that after this little snip.
Right.
So anyways, going back to this list, so I have more libraries past Rathdrum library that are not showing up, and to fix that, the setting that you want to adjust is called RESTdefaultPageSize. And we have about 29 libraries that are in our system. This default number was set to 20, so it's going to load 20 items on a page. Those new select to settings are affected by this and conform to this setting as well. So I'm going to change this to 30 and save this. And now I'm going to go back to this page, and I'm going to refresh here. And now a drop-down list should go past Rathdrum and all the way through all of our libraries now. So it's as simple as that, and it does affect all your drop-downs with the pickup location. I can't think if there's any other places other than what you had talked about, which is the PayPal.
So you should see a screenshot there up on the. Do you see that, Christopher?
Yep.
So what I discovered when this was originally done is that REST page default size. What it's doing is Koha's gathering this information through the REST API, and Koha isn't. That REST page default size is putting a limit on how much data is coming from that REST API, because there's certain situations you wouldn't want the REST API to go out there and get like all of your biblio data, because that's going to be such a huge call, it's going to overwhelm the system. And so that REST page default size puts a limit on how much data is going to come back through the REST API. And so what I discovered with the PayPal plugin is this is the change to the interface with the PayPal plugin, and I needed to make changes to some of the libraries and their PayPal information for Leavenworth and Lansing. And so when the first time I went to use this, Leavenworth and Lansing weren't even in the dropdown. I was only getting 20 rows. Because when that REST page default size system preference was added, it was just added with an automatic default value of 20. And so for my system, in order to get things to work right, I had to update it all the way to, I think I set it at 60, because we have currently, I think, 54 different libraries. And so in order to get all 54 of those libraries in that PayPal dropdown, I needed to push it up past 54. So I just set it at 60, and that gives me a little breathing room.
Now that setting affects other things, like doesn't it affect, how many? No, let's see here. I'm trying to think of if it affects anything else, but I'm thinking of other page limits. We have a separate page limit for like number of results on a page, correct?
Yeah, that's a different limit. This one affects the data that's coming through the REST API. And now that Koha is relying more and more on using the REST API, this could become a factor for libraries.
So definitely something to watch out for.
Yeah. And the other issue, you mentioned this, I'll let you share your screen again.
Now we're looking at the page, the same page for the hold requests, but now you'll notice that the individual item request down below, the pickup location is defaulting to the item's home location, instead of what Koha has done for all of the time that I've used Koha, defaults to your library.
Yeah,
So,
the big change here, I think, is that pickup at the top of the page no longer matches the pickup location when you're doing an individual item. And that is really confusing to library staff. Because
confusing. Yeah, confusing and, inconvenient for the patron, because if you're setting this hold for them and you don't notice the pickup location, they're getting a notification that their item is ready to be picked up at another library they don't want to go to.
Probably.
So to fix that, I'm going to go over to our system preferences, and I have this little section right here set up to do this. This was the one that was passed on to me. I disabled the page identifier in this, the selector. I'm going to fix that there, but basically it's looking for that page and looking for a class of pickup locations. It is grabbing the name of your branch that you're logged in as, and it is setting each selector, or excuse me, each dropdown that has a pickup location. It is resetting the selected value to match your branch location. So once that is in place, I already saved it. Refresh. And now it defaults to your library and not the item's home library.
The one caveat there is if your library is not an allowed pickup location, you're back to the same problem that the developers were trying to avoid, which you might be selecting a pickup location that is not allowed for that item.
Correct. For our libraries, we don't have that particular issue. We don't have those types of limitations, but if you do have libraries that have that limitation, that is something to consider if you're using this.
Yeah, I believe that there's another piece of jQuery out there that I have seen. I don't remember who showed it to me. It might have been Bob Benhoff at the Colorado Library Consortium, where instead of changing the allowed pickup locations, it puts a big reminder up there that the allowed pickup location doesn't match the library you're at.
Yeah, it had Bywater helped him with that. It actually throws up a modal, and it's a reminder, not a no, you can't do this, because there are some instances where they wanted to be able to still move forward with the hold. So
right,
it was a reasonable workaround for his situation.
Right. The jQuery that is on the in the Koha wiki does almost exactly the same thing as the jQuery you just demonstrated, as it just does it in a slightly different way.
That's it for today. Short and sweet. 2-for-1 deal today. So we will see you back here in 2 weeks.
See you later.